Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to the video. Today I am breaking down the Golden Guardian, his mechanics, what kinds of things you need to bring to the fight, and how best to outlast this boss. At level 60, he's not necessarily the biggest threat, but man, once we ramp up into the higher levels, he's going to be bringing the damage. So without further ado, let's get into it. The Golden Guardian's kit is all focused around becoming a tank and increasing his damage over time as you progress in the fight. But this boss is also going to be a gold farm based off of one of his mechanics. And so we want to find the balance between fighting for a long time to maximize our gold, but also killing him before he wipes out your team. So let's dive into these skills. The basic Midas's Touch attacks all enemies. It places attack down 3 on slayers and brawlers and places defense down 3 on defenders and invokers. It places accuracy down 3 on disruptors and does all of this for 1 turn. So in a sense, he's going to put a debuff on your heroes that harm them the most every single time he uses his basic. Now, it also reduces the turn meter of the enemy with the highest turn meter equal to the current divinity of the Guardian. So the farther along this fight goes, when he uses his A1, he's going to quickly start depleting the turn meter of your heroes. If the target turn meter is fully depleted, then place initiative down 3 on all enemies for 2 turns. This is going to drastically cut your divinity growth in half. Increases the Guardian's divinity by 20 for each enemy inflicted with initiative down 3. This is quite the ability. See, look, check out all those debuffs that are applied. Now, going on to its core ability, Shower of Gold, it attacks all enemies, and it will place stun for 1 turn on defenders, brawlers, and invoker heroes. It'll also place speed down 3 for 2 turns on slayer and disruptor heroes. What I'm noticing here is that this boss is placing the 3rd level of debuffs on heroes, and we're not even seeing those on the heroes themselves. A lot of their kits have the level 2 debuffs, so it's really interesting to see that dichotomy. For every enemy inflicted with stun, increases the divinity of the Guardian by 20. For every enemy inflicted with speed down 3, increases the divinity of the Guardian by 10. So he's going to be using this ability, going to be boosting that divinity, and then using his A1 to decrease the turn meter of your heroes on the next turn. And if your turn meter is fully depleted, decreasing your initiative and your divinity growth. I mean, this is a 1-2 punch for sure. As you go into his ultimate is the Wrath of King Midas. Attacks all enemies 3 times. If the Guardian's HP is above 1%, it instantly defeats all enemies, ignoring Ward, Immortal, Barrier, Shield, Radiance, and Intercept. If there's at least 1 enemy remaining, the Guardian's form will be destroyed. Now, this ability I haven't specifically seen in the fight, and we're going to get into that and see if we can get this to trigger, but this thing is crazy. You definitely want to be able to bring some form of hero that can tank this. Then we get into his passives, and it's a long list of them. Now, I do think there are some bugs or issues in these, so I'm going to call those out. So make sure that some of these things might change after alpha. But Ancient Guardian, each time the Guardian receives damage, increase the divinity meter by 10, occurring once per ability. 30% divinity, attacks will ignore 30% of the target's defense, and at 60%, increases the damage inflicted by 50%. I mean, this guy is ramping up his damage over and over and over again. And while this does seem threatening, this is only level 60 in the caverns. It's going to be a whole lot worse at level 120. And right now, I was really able to tank most of his hits without taking a whole lot of damage. And at the first time I defeated him, I didn't even have decreased defense or decreased attack. But those are going to be some pivotal things to bring in, as you're going to see in the play. And so this is just going to continue to increase the more you hit him. At the start of each round, activates Bounty. Each damaging hit increases bounty by 1. This is, so his next passive is Horde of Midas. And this is, while it doesn't necessarily say exactly what the bounty is at the end of it, I believe this is what increases our gold earned at the end of the fight. So at the start of the round, activates Bounty. Each damaging hit increases bounty by 1. When damaged by enemies under Vanished, the increase is doubled. Enemies under speed down or initiative down will not increase bounty, which he's applying those debuffs a lot. So that's going to be again pushing against us. And then reduces bounty by 2 for each 1% turn meter reduced on this boss. And so, yeah, if you're just trying to reduce turn meter constantly on this guy, you're not going to earn very much as a reward. Now, he does have Immortal here as a buff. I believe this is unintended. I don't believe this has anything to do with this passive, but you'll see later that he does have something to do with being immortal. So let's check it out. Undefeated is his next passive. It reduces incoming damage by 100% when HP falls below 1%. When this boss receives a disable, it will remove the disable and increase the Guardian's divinity by 30. This, I think, has more to do with Immortal, even though it doesn't actually implicitly say Immortal is pushed. And you'll see in the gameplay as well, you don't actually see a buff go on him. He just can't be defeated once he hits below 1% until something happens to where he's able to finally be defeated. I haven't fully understood that yet, but we'll see that as we play. Next up is Mythic Divinity, immunity to increase and decrease divinity cost abilities and lock debuffs. And so you're not going to be able to lock down any of his skills, and his divinity is going to increase as it will. You can't change that. Mythic Resilience, this is probably going to be something that we see on a lot of bosses, which reduces incoming damage from Acid, Blaze, and Bleed by 75%. Basically, they don't want you just outlasting and casting all the damage debuffs and letting them die slowly. Then we had Frenzied. Damage increases by 5% for each ultimate cast. Again, you want that bounty to increase and maximize your reward, but you also don't want it to last forever, because the more and more he uses his abilities, the more and more damage he's going to be able to put out. And so there's just so much going on with this guy's kit. There's so much that it comes to finding the balance and length and speed of defeating him. And so let's get into the fight. So we're now at the Golden Guardian. You can see that my Leonidas is not doing well. I'm just barely above this level right now in the caverns. And so even getting past the first couple of waves, it can be a little bit of a beating. So I might have to do this again, but we'll see exactly what's going on here. So one of the things that still remains a little confusing to me is this whole bounty thing. Now, granted, I believe it does increase our gold reward at the end. There's nothing that implicitly says exactly what bounty is doing. I think that this passive Horde of Midas is the only time it's actually referenced, and there's no other indication as to whether or not bounty perhaps, increases damage the higher it ticks or anything like that. But let's go ahead and get rolling here. Let's get some healing going on. And guys, you're going to want to place decrease down and decrease attack as quickly as possible. Let's get going here. Probably get some blaze on here. Awesome. Let's blaze our heroes. Really decrease. Come on, decrease. Decrease. Okay, perfect. And that just didn't do much. Raw hits like a truck sometimes, but man, yeah, applying those blazes and ripping them off and doing damage, it just didn't do much to him. Let's see. So yeah, getting that decrease attack is going to be really important for making sure that as you take the fight, he doesn't hit as hard. And then now his turn is going to be coming around soon. So let's make sure and get some turn meter increase and get back to her ability to increase defense. Increased defense with a Soul Day is really helpful here. And like I said as well, just getting that decreased defense and decreased attack with Leonidas is really pivotal. Okay. Oh, we see that hit come out. That right there was Shower of Gold. A big hit for everyone, trying to play stun and all of the debuffs. You can see here that even with just a little bit of resistance, it seemed to not really go into effect. Either that or there's not a high chance of it. And so at level 60, you don't have to necessarily worry too much about these abilities, but even still, they can really be brutal, especially as you're pushing towards level 120. It's going to be a whole different story. So let's put this on auto right now and see how the fight goes. You see that I'm really just kind of tickling him practically, not doing a whole lot, but I have that defense down now. Let's see if we can start getting some real damage in here. He hits on his just basic attack. You can see that it's just a little bit by little bit. Got that attack down, which is really helping my squad survive. And you just have to see that over time, you just slowly decrease his health. But that divinity meter is continually going up, and so you want to make sure that you are bringing some good slayers or brawlers that can do some decent damage so that you're not just sitting around waiting and hoping that you're going to survive. Bastet has been really helpful on my account for doing a lot of damage, especially alongside Ra. So if you've pulled her, make sure that you really utilize her abilities. But I also haven't used her without Ra, so I can't really say whether or not she is as good on her own, but I've certainly been really happy with her. Leonidas, though, coming in as an MVP, constantly putting down that decrease defense and decrease attack. I'm not quite sure if his imprint is a guarantee or not, but I got him and then his imprint shortly later, and his imprint is what helps that first attack put in a decrease attack as well. And honestly, if there was like auto battling that had some rules that we could set, I would be turning off all of his other skills and just having him, you know, use his primary attack all the time, his basic attack, because that just helps so much on decreasing incoming damage as well as maximizing damage output from your team. You're going to see here, yeah, we're just slowly bringing him down, trying to get him before he gets his ultimate back, because that's probably really going to hit pretty hard. And even here, bounty at level 96, there we go, 99, and ooh, okay, still not too hard. Again, just level 60, and that's the end. Hitting bounty 99 and finishing him off. Now, the first time I defeated this guy, he stayed at that 1%, and I could not kill him for quite some time. In fact, I'll show a clip of that right after this. But there you go, guys. That's the fight. Last but not least, guys, I'm going to show you the builds I have on these heroes. I don't think it's really something that I'm going to spend a whole lot of time on in this alpha wave, seeing as, you know, gear is pretty low level and not the best quality. And right now we're just trying to get through the first levels. As we progress into farther levels, the gearing and how I have heroes built is going to be a lot different. But at least for level 60 and the Golden Guardian, this is what I have here. I have Ra, and you're going to see his stats here with this gear. Really, I was just trying to get him attack and accuracy and some decent crit rate. I have Bastet, who is really just going to be able to try to maximize damage. I wasn't able to get much crit damage on her, nor crit rate, but again, this is early, so doing what we can. I have Isolde, which is just trying to make sure that she's able to get out those abilities and survive. And then Leonidas, this is his build right here. This hasn't been touched in a while, as you can see. I was kind of sleeping on him for a bit. And then Hippocleta is going to be right here. And again, you can see I'm really just throwing some stuff on the heroes. I found a far more leveling and making sure you're ranking up your heroes is far more helpful right now in these early stages than really devoting a lot of time to gear. I know that when I probably get into the 70s and 80s, I hope to be able to begin farming better gear. And that's just kind of my game plan. And so where are you when it comes to the alpha? Have you hit any brick walls, or are you now farming on a regular basis? Let me know down in the comments below what level you're at, guys, and don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.